Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, the only place that we give you good vibes. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, all over the world we are shining the light. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Voices of Africa on Chat Night. My name is Divine Chamukong, and I am anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Listen, if I told you I know someone who can show you how to become a member of the American elite class, the top 1% richest Americans, is that someone you would love to meet? Listen, I choose my words carefully. Here's the thing. You can take a horse to the stream, but you cannot force it to drink water. I just ran into a very smart African who has revelations on how you too can get into the exclusive club. It's not witchcraft.
Keep watching Chat Night Africa.
However, how much you learn in the next 90 minutes is entirely up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, pick up your pens and papers as we now welcome one of the brightest Africans you could ever think of meeting. He is Mr. Charles Njoya. Mr. Charles Njoya is a CPA, a tax strategist, and CEO of CHN Advisors. Mr. Charles Njoya, it's our pleasure to receive you on our pristine platform, Chat Night Africa.
Thank you so much, Divine. It's a privilege to be here. I've watched you for a long time, and it's just a privilege to be talking to you today.
Mr. Njoya, are you a CPA or a tax strategist? And what is the difference between the two?
Great question, Divine. We have historically thought that the CPA was the guy who was going to help us do everything. Today, I'm going to tell you one thing. The reason America is what it is because some people, the smart people, are working with some people called strategists. Some people call them family officers. A strategist is someone who basically helps you plan. He works with you strategically towards helping you do three things: help you build wealth, help you with asset protection, tax mitigation, and wealth building. That's what you get from a family office. That's what you get from a strategist. These are not things you get from a traditional CPA. A traditional CPA, on the other hand, is the guy who is going to help you. He's basically called the tax accountant. He's going to help you calculate your taxes, to pay them to the IRS, to pay them to the government. But the tax strategist is going to help you save on taxes. Your wealth is in the taxes you pay. Your wealth is in the taxes you pay.
You can imagine if you start telling people that a tax strategist is that person who is going to help you build wealth. Well, that gets my attention, and it gets the attention of everybody watching this show. Now, what category of people do you strategize for? Low-income earners or the high-income earners?
There are two things. So you have to help people based on their needs. And when you think about the tax code in America, the tax code is basically a progressive tax system. You pay taxes on income, and the higher the income, the more taxes you pay. The higher the income, the more taxes you pay. Taxes range from 0 to 37%. So high income earners find themselves in the 37% tax bracket for federal. And for the state, it goes anywhere from 0 for a few states that have zero state taxes, to some states that have up to 13.3%, like California. So basically, you have to give to people according to what they need. If somebody came to me who is a low-income earner, the first thing you have to do, you build wealth. There are 3 stages to building wealth. Number 1, you have to generate income. If you're not generating income, you have to look for ways to start generating income. That's the first way to building wealth. Now, when you generate income, now when you've made that first income, when you start making money, then you start getting into that place where you want to acquire assets. You want to buy that first home. You want to buy that second property, your nice car and things like that. You get into that second phase of wealth building, which is called asset accumulation. Now, when you accumulate assets, America is traditionally a litigious country. It is a capitalist country. So when you make money, people want to sue you. What do? You have
to get a cut of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you want to protect those assets. So the way when you come to me, when you come to our firm, we're going to do an assessment to basically understand at what stage you are. If you are at that stage where you're already accumulating assets, we will structure it for asset protection. We will structure it for tax mitigation. And that way you can build wealth. Again, your wealth is in the taxes you pay.
Mr. Njoya, a lot of immigrants are watching the show, and a lot more will be watching much later. Yes. When we come to the United States, we want to have an education, acquire a beautiful home, buy a good car, and take care of family here and overseas. Right. You have consistently said, Mr. Charles Njoya, that there's something we immigrants do not know about that's keeping us from rising to the top 1%. What is it that we're ignorant of?
So when you go to any community, the first thing is to understand how the community works. When you get into any community, the first thing is to understand how the community works. Most of us leave Africa, leave anywhere, wherever we're coming from. America is a capitalist country. Capitalism means that the country operates in a completely different way from where we come from. So basically, when we come here, the first thing is to understand the system. The system of capitalism means that the government in America, unlike every other government in the world, this government owns nothing. The United States doesn't have a national oil company. They don't have a land. They don't own the land. They don't own railways. They don't own airports. They don't own the real estate that you see today, that you see everywhere. They own nothing. The government of the United States owns even employment, which is a strategic metric that they are looking at every day, every month. They can only hire 1% of the population, and that's the military. And the few people who are working within the government setup. So the government needs people. They need the private sector to run the economy, to build the economy, to build the economy of the United States. I mean, historically, we used to come to the United States as slaves. People like you and I used to come here as slaves to basically work for this economy, to build this economy. Do you think when slavery ended, everything ended? No. America had to devise another way of doing the same thing. So now they incentivize us to come here because it's a great place. We come to this country, we do all the things that we need to do. We go to the best schools, we come out with, I mean, if you throw a stone in any gathering of Africans, any gathering of immigrants, it will fall on surgeons, on IT gurus, it will fall on anybody who has done things right. Now, the problem is, When we do things right, we come out of these schools. Now we earn high incomes. The problem with high income is that you pay a lot in taxes. Income pays a lot in taxes. Now, if you went, let me give you an example. If you were in California and then you made $1 million in income, about $370,000 of that money is going to federal income taxes. Another 13.3%, which is about $133,000, is going to the state. So you're going home with less than $500,000. Now, basically, you are working for the system. You are working for the system. And every time they tell you one thing, if you've listened to many Americans, they keep saying that the wealthy don't pay taxes. Yes, the wealthy don't pay taxes. But our understanding, we need to listen and try to understand why the wealthy don't pay taxes. The wealthy don't pay taxes because income pays a lot in taxes. Assets don't tend to pay taxes in the United States. Why? Because you leverage other people's money to acquire assets, to build wealth in America. And when you build wealth, now the tax code in America is inherently biased to asset investing. And when you build wealth, you acquire assets, leveraging other people's money. What do? You basically can take those assets. Another name for assets, let me tell you this. Most people think that income is wealth. Income is not wealth. Income is not wealth. You could make $1 million today for 10 years in a row. The day you stop working, you are broke. Wealth is in the assets you accumulate. Another name for wealth is net assets. So when you make assets, America allows you to take those assets, even though those assets were acquired with other people's money, to basically wipe off your ordinary income with. And that's how the wealthy don't pay taxes. We need to take time and understand how the system works. That is the concept of capitalism.
We love Chat Night Africa. Keep watching Chat Night Africa.
And the brilliant guy you have on the set today is Mr. Charles Njoya. He is a tax strategist. As he told you from the start, there's a difference between a CPA and a tax strategist. Does the American government provide two tax codes, one for the poor and one for the rich, therefore? I mean, you keep saying that the tax code is there to help you build wealth. How does it help me build wealth if it's taking 37% of my income in federal taxes? Before, I'm talking about state taxes, I could end up paying 45%, if not even 50.
Yes, 53 in some cases.
If I make six figures,
yes,
it means nothing.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. I tell people every time that you pay taxes because you're not doing what you're supposed to do in America. We come here with a dream. The first thing is there's only one tax code. One. There is no tax code for the wealthy and no tax code for the others. There's only one tax code. However, I mean, we've heard President Trump, we've heard all these wealthy people. Every day we keep saying that the wealthy don't pay taxes. Now, the wealthy are not paying taxes and they are not in jail. I mean, think about this. Of all the problems that former President Trump is having with the government, with the law, taxes is not one of them. We all know that Trump has not paid taxes for over donkey years, since 1999.
So does the tax code, before you can hear answering, so does the tax code help them evade taxes?
Great question. The tax code doesn't help you evade taxes.
And then
the tax code helps you avoid taxes. The tax code is an incentive mechanism to help you build wealth. It is not a mechanism to help you, to make you pay taxes. It is there. Remember, I just told you one thing. America owns nothing. America doesn't own the land. American government doesn't own any national oil company. There's no NNPC in America. They don't own the private, they don't own the real estate.
But
The
Mr.
government owns
Njoya,
nothing.
Mr. Njoya, people are going to have a hard time understanding why the tax code is there to help people build wealth, but apparently squeezing the middle class, because I am paying, a medical doctor is paying 37% of his income as taxes, federal taxes, before state tax. And the state tax they pay depends on what state they are in. So explain to me, therefore, how the tax code helps the middle class build wealth when it's taking so much away from them.
Okay, I'll tell you something. And this is really interesting, the questions you're bringing up. The first thing is that we all agree that there's only one tax code, only one. The second thing, we all agree that the government of the United States doesn't own, private equity owns almost everything you see in America, almost everything. The airports, the seaports, the airlines, everything, the skyscrapers you see in America all belong to the private sector. What does that mean? The government only grows because you and I are building our own economies. How do you build your own economy? The smaller economies that we build, America is held by the private sector. So if the government needs roads, they need airports, they need affordable housing, they need all sorts of commercial property, residential property, and they cannot do it themselves, they have to find a way for you and I to do the same thing, to do it for them. Now, when we do these things, the tax code gives us all sorts of incentives to doing those things. First of all, unlike in Africa, in Cameroon, for example, if you see me with a car, I bought it cash. If you see me with a big house, I paid for it. In America, you basically sign documents to own assets. The government is, a few weeks ago, the Treasury of the United States reduced interest rates by some 5 percentage points. Why? Because they want to incentivize us to borrow more money, to invest, to build our own economies. And when you're building your own economy, you're hiring people, you're building, you're acquiring real estate, you're doing all those things the government wants you to do. What else do they give you? They will incentivize you in addition to giving you capital. America is the capital of capital. That's why they call it capitalism. You have access to capital in order to build your own economy. And when you do that, you're buying businesses, you're hiring people, you're doing all the things that make you wealthy. Guess what? The government is giving you incentives through the tax code, tax deduction, tax credit, tax deductions, tax credit. They give you something called bonus depreciation. There are so many things that they give you in order to build out your own economy. And the more you build your economy, the more you are building the economy of the United States. That's why we don't pay taxes. The guy who only goes to work, earns an income, and doesn't build assets. Asset is passive activity. Anything that is going to create wealth for you, money for you while you're sleeping, pays far less taxes or almost no taxes compared to any effort that you put in. Effort is called ordinary activity income. It's called active activity. It's called operations. You're using effort. Anytime you use effort to make money, you're going to pay a lot in taxes.
So isn't it fair? Yeah. So isn't it fair to say that millionaires and billionaires should pay their fair share? I mean, come on. A cashier is paying at Walmart, or a medical doctor is paying 37% in federal taxes, and the billionaires are then paying nothing. What's the fairness in the system?
The fairness in the system is that the system is called capitalism. It allows you to build your own wealth. The government is allowing you to do something. You decide not to do it. The tax code is allowing you to be able to build wealth. The wealth you build for yourself is going to make America bigger, America better. The smaller America is made up of small economies that are put together to multiply the economy of America.
That sounds to
me,
Mr.
Tell you something.
Yes,
when
sir.
you pay taxes in America, taxes are not the things that build our roads in America. Taxes are not what is going to build affordable housing. Taxes are meant to, when you pay taxes, it does two things. Number one, it's going to pay salaries of those who are working for the government, which is about 1% of the population. Number two, it's going to pay for Social Security. Social Security in America is a Ponzi scheme right now. You don't have an account in Social Security. When you put money in Social Security, it is taking care of the people who are already in retirement. That's why we are always hearing that Social Security is going to disappear. And then there's another set of people in the United States who there are two sets of people who are getting benefits. Number one set of people are people who have some handicap. They are struggling with something that we understand. But a majority of those people are people who have denied to work. They've just said, okay, I want to live on benefits. And when you live on benefits, those are the people we are taking care of. I mean, I want to be the person to decide how I do my own charity. The government doesn't have to do my charity for me. So when you do those things that are called that the capital system is waiting for you to do, you build more to the economy. They just need you. Our problem is in the mindset. We come here, when we come here, we listen to the person who was here before. And most of the time, those people have no understanding of how the system works. The biggest thing to do is once you get here, understand the system. Unfortunately, there's no school system that's going to teach you how the system works. You only learn it through programs like ours and by reading.
You are watching Voices of Africa, and this smart gentleman is Mr. Charles Njoya. He's a strategist, a consultant, and he owns a company. We'll come to all of that. So you see what happens, what you get when you watch Chat Night Africa.
Children of Africa, tell me, are you ready? Mama Africa, I wanna know, are you ready? Papa Africa, are you ready?
And my name is Divine Chamukong. Now you tell me you're ready. We have a lot more strong questions. You see, for Mr. Charles Njoya, the whole idea is to muscle you up to work hard, but better still, work smart. What's the difference, Mr. Njoya, of the difference between working smart and working hard?
Great question. You work smart when you're using the system to work for you. You work hard when you're using effort to create anything you own. Effort is working hard. You work smart when you use the understanding of the system to make it work for you. Let me give you an example. I'll give you something very easy. The system allows you to be able to basically build wealth from your income. So when we get here, for example, the first thing you get when you come out of a good school, you start your job, you get all sorts of letters coming through your door. Those letters are telling you, oh, you can take a loan here, you can do this, you can do that, because the only way you acquire assets in the United States is by showing your ability to pay. You just came out from law school, you just came out from medical school, you are that guy, you're making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Everything is available for you to build wealth. Unfortunately, in our communities, we take that and then we get ourselves entangled in what you call operational expenses. You take them, and then instead of acquiring assets with that ability, with that capital that's been given you, you get yourself, you go and buy some certain things that are going to be liabilities for you. So you get entangled in what I call the rat race. You start in that rat race and you're turning. Every day you're working to pay bills. You're working to pay bills. On the contrary, working smart means that guy who takes that money goes and buy a revenue generating asset with it. He just created an asset bucket, something that's going to be creating revenue for him while he's sleeping. And that is called assets. The income you're generating from your job or from wherever you're generating is called ordinary income that pays taxes. That asset you just acquired, leveraging other people's money, with the tax code, you can take that asset, come and wipe off your ordinary income with it. So you can go rest, you can sleep while money is being working for you because you acquired assets. That guy who took the money and acquired maybe a luxury car, a luxury pair of shoes, a Louis Vuitton bag, now you struggle, you're working harder. Building, you're working harder, putting in more effort, working extra hours because you're working to pay bills. You want to work smart. You have to understand how the system works and take advantage of it. That is working smart.
Thank you.
Mr. Charles Njoya is you graduate from school, medical school, law school, and then you have all these credit cards. You have $100,000 credit cards, worth of credit cards. Sometimes people go around beating their chest and they have the money, they have money to spend. So the question becomes, is it the system that traps us or we trap ourselves? Explain your response, sir.
It's both. It's both. The system, there are things that the system should be letting us know when we come here. Remember, I told you one thing. Historically, people like you and I were being caught by force to come to the United States and build this country. Do you think that when slavery ended, the country stopped being built? No. There was another way of building the economy. They had to make this country attractive enough for you and I to come here and go through a system of education which is basically it is designed to make you work for the system. The system of education is designed to make you work for the system. And now, because if you look at the Jewish community in America, the Jewish community are the people who understand the system. They own the private equity in America. They own most of the things they have in America. They are the ones living in yachts while we're working every day for them. So the problem is, number one, when you come here in our communities, we just don't know how to pay for consulting. We know how to buy tangible assets. In America, what liberates you from what you call mental slavery is consultancy. You have to read books. And then these things are conceived. There was a book that we've all read that book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We've all read that book. Many people have read that book, but we don't understand what the book is talking about. The book, The Rich Dad, is that guy who never went to school, but he understands the system. He made a lot of money out of no education. He understood the system. Now, the poor dad is that guy who goes through Harvard, goes through all the education in America, comes out and believes in the system. He's working as an employee. He gets a retirement and he contributes to his retirement and he's going to die broke. That is our system. How do we get out of that? Is understanding the system, what we're talking about today. Work with strategists to understand how the system works. A CPA doesn't do that. I am a CPA, but the understanding of how the system works is our problem. And we can also say that the top 1%, the owners of this economy, what they have done is that they don't want you and I to get into the circle. So the education system has been made to become a trap for you and I. You have to get out of this by getting into programs. And these programs are expensive. And that's something we are not ready to invest in. If you want to change the rat race in America, you have to understand the system, and someone needs to hold your hand to help you build your own economy. That is what liberates you. So it's mental slavery, and it's also the system making us be in that system.
If you think that you've heard the best or the better side of this program, we just only have started. Hang on. We have a little interlude here, and Mr. Charles Njoya will be right back. And we'll also be opening the phone lines. If you have any questions, you can call and ask. Please, do not call me when Mr. Njoya has gone and then you're asking me questions, because I came here with my notebook. I'm learning. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is broadcast in high resolution on www.chatnightafrica.net, on YouTube, We are also 2 places on Facebook and on other social media handles. We will be right back. My name is Divine Chamokong. I'm in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Stay tuned.
Just night Africa. 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 Top night Africa.
Yeah, that's Africa's voice to the world. Thank you for joining us. Please share this broadcast because I'm getting a ton of education as I listen to this smart Cameroonian guy. Now I'll tell you where he's from. Africa. He's from Cameroon, Mr. Charles Njoya. Those of you from Cameroon, you definitely probably guessed from the name Njoya. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now in welcoming Mr. Charles Njoya once more on the platform. Mr. Njoya, when immigrants arrive in the United States, they first live with relatives.
Yes.
Then they move out and rent apartments. Then the next move, they buy a home or a house. Question, is owning a house an asset or a liability?
That's a very, very good question. The first thing I'm going to tell you about this question is that, the question again is owning a house an asset or a liability? Now, if I am, let me answer you first from a purely financial standpoint. So anything that takes money away from you, it's a liability. Anything that takes money away from you is a liability. And anything that adds money to you is an asset. So going from that perspective, most people get entangled by the type of property they buy when they start working. I'm telling you this, and again, I'm speaking basically from a financial standpoint. When you buy a property in the United States, unlike most places in the world, you are basically acquiring something by signing papers. Maybe they ask you to pay 10%, maybe 5%. Some people don't pay anything down and they acquire those assets. Now, it means that you're locked in on a debt for 30 years, some 25 years, some 15 years. And that debt pays interest at the market rates. So it tells you that, it means that because that property that you just bought is generating no income, it's not a business asset. It's not an income generating asset. It's going to be taking money. All the money you'll be working, you'll be paying for that house. And what happens is that the day you can't pay even the property tax, that house could be taken away from you. So on those bases, a house is considered a liability. Now, if you took that and you acquired your first property was probably a rental property where you're getting income, where the property is appreciating, you're getting income. And then in addition to that, when you have a real estate, you have 4 sources of income, 4 sources of return on investment. Number 1 is something you call tax return on investment. Number 2 is the property appreciation. Property appreciation over the last 30 years is around 7 to 10%. Number 3 is the mortgage reduction. Someone is paying your mortgage for you. And in addition to that, they are giving you money. They are giving you in excess. Generally, the rent you get from a property that's rented is higher than the mortgage you pay. So number 4, you get cash flow. So there are 4 sources of return on investment. Real estate gives you more than 100% return on investment. All the time. At times 200% return on investment. All the time. Now, if you took that money and instead of buying that asset, income generating asset, that is called a passive activity, you took it and then you bought an asset where you buy all these things are bought on debt, then you don't sleep. You cannot sleep in the house because you're working every day to go and pay a debt. And that debt is not yours, even after you pay it off. So that is on the financial side. Now, On the really sentimental side, I don't want to talk about people's homes all the time because there are people who get a lot of satisfaction from the type of home. I have a big home and I get satisfaction from my home. You just have to understand what you're getting into. Either you understand that you're getting into a liability and you're investing in that liability. Most people get into that liability not understanding, thinking that their wealth is in that asset. I tell people, you don't want to pay off your property. You don't want to pay off your home. You want to take the equity that's going out of your home and buy new properties with it. Generate more money. I see a lot of people in our community tell me, oh, I've paid off my home. And you're sitting on money. Someone else is using the money to build wealth for you. So paying off your home doesn't make you wealthy. It makes you broke. Take the money and build wealth with it. So that's my answer to this. So owning a house, you have to understand that owning a house is primarily a liability because it takes money out of you. But there's also that aspect of satisfaction, which cannot be quantifiable, that people have to be considerate of.
We love Chat Night Africa.
Well, this is precisely why you love Chat Night Africa. When we carry content like this, life transformative content, it's understandable why people support the platform to look this dazzling. When you talked about owning a house as a liability and not as an asset, people who run into buying homes, residential home, did so because they thought that, well, it builds equity. Why is that not a reason to buy a home, a residential home?
It's not a reason. It could be a reason. I'm not saying it's not a reason. When you buy, everybody needs to have a residence. At some point, you have to do some sort of analysis to know if you are that guy who is a financial junk, you're always thinking about return on investment. Then before you buy your home, you have to think about what are the pros and cons. Most people, I have a lot of clients who are living in rental property and they have more than 20 properties. They are living in rental properties. They own more than 20 properties out there. Is that being smart? In most cases, they are. So basically, you have to do some form of analysis. Because a home, most of the time in our communities, we don't buy homes, we buy the home that we can afford. So you go to the market, they tell you, okay, to buy this home, I see a lot of people come to me and they say, Charles, I want to buy my home, but they say I don't qualify. I want you to help me so that I can show that I qualify. So you're trying to beef up to buy a bigger home, and it's not a rental. If you are doing that to buy a commercial property, it makes sense. Your home should not be that thing that you buy with such an amount that you cannot sleep in it because you're trying to pay the amount. You're trying to pay what the constant cash outflow. You have to, I agree that you want to buy a home. You want to build equity in a home. But you can build a lot of equity with properties that are already generating income for you. Your home is not going to generate income. Equity is just so much. And again, you can't even take tax benefits in your personal home. When you have a rental property, a business asset in the form of a property, you get all the 4 sources of return on investment I just told you. Your home is only property tax and you're the one paying for the property tax. That property out there, the third party, whoever, you're not paying taxes on it. And you can take that home that you bought on debt and wipe off all your income with it. Wipe off all your income and you're paying 0 in taxes. And that doesn't reduce your ability to pay because the lender, that person, the financial institution, what they determine to make you buy more assets is what they call the EBITDA. It doesn't consider depreciation. So the more you have assets out there that are income generating assets in the form of real estate, the more assets you have, the more access you have to money. And wealth is your ability to access money. That's what we call wealth.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the devil's advocate here. A lot of people argue that when you pay rent, it's like you pour water in a bucket or in a basket, so to speak. And so the belief that when you buy even a residential home, that money builds something called equity. I still want you to clarify that.
That's correct. When you buy a residential home, that money builds equity. I'm not saying that that's not true, but you want to always do a cost benefit analysis. The money you are, how much am I paying for rents compared to how much would I get if I got that property? That is putting sentiments out, because there's that intangible satisfaction that people get from their homes that you cannot discount. I'm not going to discount that. That my only thing is that if equity was your game, you get more equity in having a property that is called a rental property than what you're getting in your home. If you took that home,
plus that you're getting rents from that
you're getting rents, you're getting tax savings on a rental property. If you're structured correctly, is more than 100%. More than just tax
more
savings.
than 100%.
More than 100%.
I think that
I can give you an example. Give you an example to explain that.
Sure.
Let me give you an example. So you come to me, and then you are this guy who's paying $1 million in tax. You are paying $100,000 in taxes every year. And I tell people, when you pay $100,000 in taxes, it's like putting money in the toilet can and then flushing it. It's like flushing away money, because that $100,000 that you just paid to Uncle Sam, what you can do with that $100,000, assuming that you made your income, your total income, your taxable income is $500,000. Let's assume, I'm taking this as an example.
Correct.
You have $500,000 worth of income. Now your tax on there is about, because you're married filing jointly, it's about maybe close to $180,000. That's your tax. I'm taking a guy who's resident maybe in Texas. $180,000. Your income, your taxable income is $500,000. If you take that $150,000 on that money, you go and put it down as a 10% on a property, you're getting $1.5 million property. Now, that's a rental property. That's an investment property. If that investment property, now the tax code says that if you structure properly and you are qualified, you would take that property and do something called cost segregation on that property. And the write-off on that property could be a third of that property, almost another $500,000. You take it because you met certain requirements. You bring it and then you wipe off that your $500,000 of income with it. You're making zero. So now you only invested in acquiring that $1.5 million property, $150,000. So that $150,000 is your investment. Now you took that $150,000. Now you got another $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on that property to come and wipe off your ordinary income. When you wipe off that ordinary income of $500,000, you just saved yourself taxes for about another $200,000. Guess what? You invested $150,000, you're saving taxes for close to $200,000. That's more than 100% return on investment.
I'm going to tell you something you're going to laugh about.
Yes.
When I do shows, I tell people, watch. This one, I didn't invite people to watch. I begged people to watch the show. This is the first time I've ever begged people to watch my show. You want to watch it, that's fine. You want to stay ignorant, it's up to you.
Yes.
But I was getting answers like, well, I have a party this night.
Yes.
I have to go visit friends. Honestly.
Yes.
If you had to go and meet Charles for consultancy to give you this information, you will pay a lot of money.
That's right.
And here we are giving it for free. Here we are opening the telephone line soon, so you can ask him your questions unfiltered. And immigrants are telling me they have a party tonight.
You know what?
I don't get it.
You know what? We have a problem of mindset. People are not ready. If we had an occasion here where we had people dancing, playing, doing something, we'll have a lot of people, and we're talking about this. This thing we're talking about, this is a game changer to your wealth building in America. Understanding how the system works is the most important thing. I see clients coming to my door. They come to me. I have this client, he's a surgeon. He came to me and told me, Charles, when we talked about it, we saved him His taxes were $388,000 every year that he had been paying for the last, how many years? For the last 17 years. 17. And this guy comes to us because his CPA cannot help him at all. So now we save him taxes. And then this guy tells me, imagine $388,000 a year. And this is a guy who's living in Texas. He doesn't have state taxes. What he told me is, when you take that $388,000, you can buy real estate for $4 million with that money. Now, when you take that 388, you go and buy real estate for, even let's assume you buy real estate for even $2 million. That's you putting 20% of that money down. Now you got a $2 million asset. That $2 million asset can come and make you never pay taxes going forward because of the gain. You just disentangled yourself from what we call the rat race to a wealth building race. Understanding how the system works is the key to your American dream. The tax code is the key to your American dream.
Wow. There is a question here. Many people ask me to bring it to you. I want everybody to pay attention. Again, when I designed this show and I contacted Charles, my whole idea was to muscle up immigrants. We come here, we work so hard, we working 2 jobs, we buy homes we really cannot conveniently pay because that home is a liability. Here, that is, hearing from me. And then we're working 2 jobs. It's you get into a rabbit hole, yes. Going round and round and round and round and round and round. And then the Jewish Americans are there building wealth, yes. Going on vacations, yes. Sleeping in their homes. Then we have to be working for them and then blaming the system. We'll come to that all-important question. Somebody asked me, a lot of people asked me to bring that question to you after a little break, and I will be right back. My name is Divine Chamukong. This show can be watched on www.chatnightafrica.net. It's on YouTube. It's on 2 places, on Facebook and on other social media handles. Stay tuned. I'll be back in just a moment, and you will love what you get. I can tell you that you're going to love what you get. Let's see. That's not coming up. Okay, that's
Welcome
fine.
to Direct Delivery Service
That's not coming up. All right, that's fine. I have the video. Stay tuned.
LC. Have you been looking for a reliable and affordable moving company? Direct Delivery Service moves your belongings using extra safety measures. We offer customized solutions to fit all of your delivery requirements, saving you time and money. We are dedicated to providing you with safe and prompt delivery services by partnering with a network of local drivers. Feel free to call us if you need assistance with booking your delivery. Here are some of the proficient services we offer: local moving services, furniture delivery services, medicines delivery services, letters delivery services, documents delivery services, grocery delivery services, food delivery services, flowers and gifts delivery services, junk removal services, home cleanout service. Other attributes to make you hire our fascinating services. Operational since 2019, 24/7 availability, timely delivery, trusted partnership with local movers. We value your time, maximum customer satisfaction, reasonable rates. Get in touch to book your delivery.
Very, very good. Thank you, Garrick Delivery Services. On this platform, we have 4 broadcast programs. We have Next Generation today. And on this show, we feature young talents, young adults who are making things, makers of things, people who are doing things that just young people who are doing things that change, affect the lives of the community positively. Now, nationality is not a requirement. It can be white, black, yellow, green, anywhere around the globe. If you know somebody, a young person, young adult, teenager who is doing something extraordinary, let us know. We are going to bring that person on the platform, that young person on the platform. We also have Healthline, and soon we will be talking about breast cancer and lung cancer. Just so you know, 3,000 men contract breast cancer in the United States every year. So just because you're a man, you're not out of the woods. And then when we talk about breast cancer, people default to thinking women. We will also have a professor of oncology on the show and a woman who has survived stage 3 breast cancer to just tell us what it looks like, what it feels like living with stage 3 breast cancer. We also have Family Matters, during which we talk to people about building the families, what you should be looking out for when you're looking for a spouse. Everybody comes looking like an angel. You know, when they want to catch a chicken back home, they throw corn first and then hide the knife somewhere. And the kitchen only realizes what the trouble they're in for when they've closed the door behind them and they realize there's a pot of boiling water or cooking oil on the stove. So we discuss things like that. So to say that, look before you leap, before you say, yes, I do. We bring up things like this on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, join me once more in welcoming our star guest for the evening, Mr. Charles Njoya, on the platform. Mr. Njoya, I'm sure you used to catch chicken back home. And then you throw some grains of corn. You first open the door, throw grains of corn. The chicken thinks that you found a friend.
Yes.
Not knowing that there's a knife in the kitchen. That's why we have a show called Family Matters, so that people look before they leap. That's a whole different thing.
Yes.
There's a lot of domestic violence because people just rushed into something. They're looking for a 6-pack or Coca-Cola shape or some rich guy there like Mr. Njoya. I'm not saying rich people are all bad. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, look beyond the wallet. That's a different discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question before me. Everybody asked me to bring this question to Mr. Njoya. Here is the question. And after this question, when he answers the question, I'm going to open the phone line so that you can call and ask your questions to him unfiltered. Mr. Njoya,
Yes.
somebody has $100,000.
Yes.
Do they put down the money for a house or invest it? What investments carry the lowest risk? Building a public hall, operating a grocery store, opening a group home. I could go on and on and on and on. What's your advice?
That's a great question. If you have $100,000 and you have all these options, number one, I always tell people, you want to invest in what you know best. You want to invest in something that you have experience in, something that you can, basically, you have to know what you're putting your money in. If you want to do all of those things that you just named, they are making a lot of wealth in this country. As long as it's an income generating asset, you're good to go. But you also want to do one thing. In as much as you want to acquire those assets, you want to do something called, you have to do an assessment of what you want to invest in. You want to assess the different types of activities you want to invest in. There is something called due diligence when you want to invest into something. When you want to buy an asset, when you want to do anything, do some basic due diligence. Assess the benefit, the cost benefit, do a cost benefit analysis of all these different assets you want to invest in. If you don't know how to do it, get a consultant. Don't just go put money in something that doesn't have, because there are so many things. We do that all the time. We assess people's investments. We do due diligences. We do asset appraisal. We make you understand what is the best form of investment, because all of those things are investments and they are all generating different levels of returns. You want to look at what is the best return on investment at that point in time. There are so many things that affect different industries, and you cannot just go in there and say, okay, this is the best thing to put money in. You have to assess it, and you have to look at the time. You have to look at where you want to go. There are so many aspects that come into play before you invest your money. It's important to speak to someone who understands, who can assess those different investment vehicles and tell you what is the highest return on your investment, and then you can go into it.
All right. I promised it. Now it's time to open the phone line. You can dial the number 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367 and ask your question to Mr. Charles Njoya. I do understand that some of the truths that he's telling you are going to really make you not so happy. But here's the thing. You can decide to have a bliss in your ignorance or in ignorance, or face the truth. Listen, if I came on this show without cleaning my face and did not want to look at my face into the camera, my face doesn't get clean. You just have to face it and do something about it, okay? If you don't recognize that the table ends broken, you wouldn't fix it. You're watching Voices of Africa on Chat Night Africa. And we will now take a very important follow-up question right away. Meanwhile, I'm watching the phone, 240-603-7367. Mr. Njoya, for those who want to go into business, are there ways to protect your business assets? If yes, protect them from what?
Excellent question. So what we do here as a firm, we are a tax and estate strategy firm. What does that mean? You have to plan to protect your assets. America is basically a litigious society. Capitalism involves risks, and it involves a lot of litigations. Statistics tell you that for most of us, 99% of us who are in business, you're going to have at least one lawsuit over your lifetime, at least one. And one lawsuit which goes against you can make you bankrupt, even if you had billions of dollars in this country. So the key to building sustainable wealth is asset protection. Again, the key to building sustainable wealth is asset protection, because one lawsuit is going to take everything away. So it becomes so critical for those of you who are either in healthcare and you're building assets. I mean, you don't want to start protecting assets when you don't have nothing. You start by making income. When someone comes to me and tells me, Charles, I want to do this, I want to do a trust, I want to do this, great, you want to do that. It's important to do all of those things. The first thing is, are you making income? Are you acquiring assets? What type of assets can you acquire? So all those things, when you are at the right stage, you do all those things. Asset protection is critical. And there are so many buckets for asset protection. Wherever you are in the United States, wealthy people, you can go and sue wealthy people for all you care. Because of their structure, you're never going to get a dime from them because of their asset protection. Because of asset protection. And so many people say, oh, the law is this, the law is that. The law has nothing. It's because you didn't understand how the system works. In a company like ours, when you come to our firm, when we talk about estate planning, when we talk about tax mitigation, when we talk about wealth building, there are people that constitute a strategy firm. It's not a firm for accountants. It's not a firm for strategists. It's not a firm for attorneys. It's not a firm for financial planners. It's not a firm for tax preparers. It's not a firm for real estate brokers. It's not even a firm for loan officers. It's a firm for all of those people put together, because we help you structure your estate. Most people have gone around. I see a lot of people come through my door, and then they come with all sorts of trusts. They have a land trust, they have a this trust, they have all these different types of trusts, which they don't need. They have not even funded them. They don't need all of these things. Because when you go to individuals, you go to a trust, you go to a lawyer, you say, I want a trust. You go to this guy, I want to see how I can do this. They don't have the same vision. They are not looking in the same direction. And most of the time, they sell you what they know how to do. They're not looking at your interest. They're providing you what they have. And 99.99% of the time, they never work. That's why the wealthy work with family offices, which is conjunction of all these people to help you not only build wealth, but to generate income in the most efficient way, acquire assets, and then protect those assets by tax mitigation. You don't pay taxes to the IRS because you are not, I didn't say tax evasion. Tax evasion will take you it's a crime. You go to jail with tax evasion. What you are doing is tax avoidance, and you're avoiding taxes on the basis of the tax code. In America, when you build wealth in the proper way, the system gives you what you call incentives to do more. People who don't pay taxes legally contribute far more to the economy than that guy who is paying taxes to the economy. That's the way the system in America works. So if you think that you're paying taxes and you're a better citizen, that's a fallacy. That's what the system wants you to understand. It's a fallacy.
Mr. Njoya, I know people who have built apartment homes in Cameroon, built guest houses in different cities in Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana. Could such investments overseas help you in mitigating your taxes in the United States?
That's a great question. That's a great question. The problem we have with people who invest overseas in our own community is that somewhere, somehow, some CPA tells them, please don't show that income. Don't show that asset. Don't show anything, because the higher you show the income, the more taxes you're going to pay. That's the mistake. That's the first mistake we make. The second mistake, if you have to declare the tax code says that you pay taxes, not pay taxes. You basically file taxes on your worldwide income. You file taxes on your worldwide income. What does that mean? It means that the assets that you have everywhere, most of us, we have built a lot of assets back home. And those assets are not reflected anywhere. So if they're not reflected anywhere, how do you expect to get anything? When you have international assets, asset protection, before you do asset protection in the United States, you have to consider the jurisdiction in which those assets are located. So for you, for example, if you went and built a property in Nigeria, it's making money, or in Cameroon and it's making money, you have to understand the tax laws in the land in which the asset belongs. So those two have to be put together to consider your asset protection. In the United States, you might have certain things that work, but they don't protect you in that land. That's why you have to make sure they are put together. But in terms of tax mitigation, you can well mitigate taxes with your international assets. There are two things in the tax code that are critical. For most of you who are saying, oh, I don't want to show that income because I am going to pay taxes, or some CPA told you that thing. There are two things that are going to be counted when you think about international taxation. There's something that they call foreign earned income exclusion. Foreign earned income exclusion. It means that the income that you earn abroad, for someone who is living abroad, you are going to exclude that income in your local taxes. Even though you have included those assets in your local taxes. There's a threshold to it, but that's number one. Number two is something called foreign tax credit. Most people think they are going to pay double taxes. Foreign tax credit means the money that you've paid in taxes abroad, you are not going to pay taxes on that asset here. So you have to understand that. Foreign tax credit and foreign earned income exclusion will avoid you double taxing your assets within the United States. There's a lot more. It will need another forum for us to talk about.
Oh, yes. And you will be coming back for another session. We will bring back Mr. Charles Njoya on the platform. Time for us to have a musical break, just about 4 minutes, and we will be right back. I have a key question again. Another question that everybody asked me to bring it to you, Mr. Charles Njoya. My name is Divine Chiamakong. I am anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I want to thank all of you who contributed to make sure that our programs came back on there. Yes, thank you, Janine. 3 weeks ago, our cameras died on us, and we sat wondering what to do. Good Samaritans who prefer to remain anonymous, isn't that amazing? Decided to buy the camera. That's why you see this beautiful programming going on. And in this time, in this day and age when money is so hard to come by, that somebody is going to dips their hand into their wallet to support Chat Night Africa, we have to be doing something right here. And this is Exhibit A, as they say in court. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. We have a little break here so that everybody can go grab or maybe get a glass of water before we return. We have strong questions. We have 30 more minutes, 25 minutes to go to the end of this show. Please watch this amazing video. That's Africa's Voice to the World, Chat Night Africa. I want to thank my producer in Lagos, Zé Roger, for putting together this video. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a village to raise a child. I could not do this alone. I want to also thank my very good friend in Virginia, social media guru, Dr. Ilo, for building this beautiful platform, Mr. Mumbalingwa, my transmission director. So we conjugate a lot of efforts to be able to do the kind of things that we're doing here. And we have lined up volcanic contents. You don't want to miss anytime we're coming on the air. Next Thursday, we'll be here. And ladies and gentlemen, without any more time wasting, here is our guest for the evening. And there's a question I prepared for him. And two more questions, and then we'll wrap up. All right. Here is Mr. Charles Njoya, our tax strategist, who is trying to teach you how people got to being the top 1%, richest Americans, not witchcraft. They just knew what we haven't known, in spite of, I mean, again, education is not the thing. Okay, you can have 5 PhDs and not know this. So it has nothing to do with education. And the top 1% are not Harvard graduates necessarily. No, they just knew what to do. They took the time to study it, to go to places where they can get the information. I told a lot of friends to watch this show tonight. I was begging people. The first time I've ever begged anyone to watch my show. And I was getting excuses. Some people told me, no, they have a party tonight. They prefer to pay 37% in taxes, attend their parties, and then, all right, drink their wine. All right, anyway. So let's now bring up, again, Mr. Charles Njoya. All right. This apology, I have to apologize if sometimes my comments, sometimes we have to jolt ourselves out of our comfort zones to be able to do what it takes to be able, in order to pay our mortgages without stress, because money is coming from somewhere else. That's what I learned from you today. So and this is my question. This is coming from my heart, this little chest I have here. Njoya, you have a good grasp of the economic patterns across Africa. Again, when you worked for PwC, you traveled the length and breadth of Africa.
Yes.
If you became the president of the Republic of Cameroon, which economic model would you implement that creates jobs? Now, I ask you this question because lots of people describe capitalism as evil.
Yeah, that's a great question, an excellent question. And that's a question that needs some in-depth appreciation. The reason I say this is because when you look at different economies, so many things, you look at an economy like China. China has been authoritarian. They have an authoritarian regime for a long, long time. And the reality is you have seen how they have been able to move across, to move the needle. In the last 30 years, China changed their whole story. Just about 40, 30 years ago, China was almost like Cameroon. It was an undeveloped country. It was just a large country that everybody was struggling to survive. In 30 years, they decided to change their story, and today they are competing with America. You would say, okay, and when you think about it, some of our countries in Africa, what we need some authoritarianism for things to work. I love capitalism. I love the freedom in America. I love it, but it's not for everybody. It needs discipline for these things to work. Some of us, we still need to be pushed to get things done. Our mindsets are the biggest block that we have. Before you get to this, you have to have had that mindset that allows you. I mean, if you look at the way China is going today, there are so many things that have gone through capitalism. Russia became capitalist. All those countries are moving towards it. But before you get there are some basics that you need to do. And if it takes hard work, it needs somebody to come and change the mindsets. If you take this model back to Africa, it's going to be chaos, complete chaos. That's my thought. So you have to basically have some stick to change the way the things work. We need some form of a strong man who is a kind-hearted strong man to come and who has the people's interest at heart and who is not that guy who is coming to make wealth for himself. We need some of these guys. We need the Rawlings. We need the Sankaras. We need Africanists, Pan-Africanists who are going to take the country by storm and push the country to where we want to go. Then after that, when mindsets have changed, people have become hardworking by nature. People have learned to respect the things of the government, the things that belong to the general public. When people have started respecting that, then we can start implementing, getting gradually into this freedom, into what we call freedom. Because all of those systems have their challenges. And I believe that Africa, most of our countries, still need to be guided on what to do before you can allow them the level of freedom.
Mr. Njoya, people usually are hesitant when they open businesses, hesitant to employ, whether their children, something their children or their relatives. The question I have for you is, does employing a family member in your business give you any advantages in tax mitigation?
Divine, that is the key to building generational wealth. I repeat, that is the key to building generational wealth. This is a topic that I can't overemphasize. The tax code says clearly that one of the biggest benefits of building your own economy, of owning a business, is that ability to employ your family members. Let me answer that question. Let me tell you how it becomes interesting. Number one, one of the biggest thing that has been pushed against entrepreneurs like us is that, oh, you never spend time with your family. When you have your kids working for you, you have your spouse working with you, what do? You're always with them. You're teaching them values. You're teaching them how to build, how to become entrepreneurs, how to manage money, how to manage their own estate. That's number one. And that you can't have when you talk about building estates, all these large companies that you see out there, they started by some family members coming together to do something. So you are building a group of entrepreneurs in the family. That's number one. Number two is that when you employ family members, the tax code in America says that there's something called standard deduction. Standard deduction currently is about $14,300, somewhere around there. That's for 2023, for 2024. So what that means is that is the income that you can earn and not even have to file taxes. It is the income that you can earn and not even have to file taxes. So the first thing you have to do when you have your family members working for you, all of us, everybody who has a business actually has his children working for him or her. They have children, they have family members working. Because when you sit there and you tell, oh, take me that document, oh, do this, come and clean my office, all those things, we are doing them day in, day out. We're traveling, we're moving with our children, we're talking about the business all the time. That is working. It's not just structured. You need to structure that in a way that all that time that you're using is part of your business time. And when you put that, you can write off, you can pay your child up to $14,300, $14,500, or whatever the standard deduction is. And that money, number one, you are in, let's say you are in the 37% tax bracket or whatever tax bracket, that money is tax deductible to you and it is tax free to the child. So if you have 4 kids, guess what? You just multiply that by 4. That is money that is tax-free. So basically, the government, you're helping the government pay for your children's education, pay for anything that has to do with your children. The government is helping you pay that because you just structured. Number 3, the tax code doesn't give you an age. No, so the tax law, the labor law says that you cannot employ a child at the age of 14 or under the age of 14. Why? Because if you employ somebody under the age of 14, it's called child abuse. However, it goes further to tell you unless that person is your custodial kid, you have custody over that person, or it's your biological, or it's your legal child. What does that mean? It means that you can employ a child at any age to work in your business. That's number 3. The tax courts have upheld the age of 7. So 7 years old, you can employ your kid if you're doing normal businesses. But if you're doing a specific type of business, for example, you have children who are 2 who are acting movies. You have children who are 2 who are being models. Those are children that you can actually pay them at those ages, as long as you can demonstrate that those children are actually adding, they are creating value, they are building your economy. That's number 3. Number 4. So basically, we've talked about all of this, the tax amount that you're saving from taxes. But the big one is the tax code also goes ahead to tell you that you can basically invest that child's money, that child's earnings in something, as long as it is earned income. Earned income is money that the child has earned, he's worked for. So that child has worked, that because you're paying him that money, is after tax money, you can take that money and put it in a Roth IRA. When you put $6,000, $7,000 in a Roth IRA for a child who is 7, that money is compounded. The time the child has access to that money is at the age of 59 and a half when they retire. So that money will just left there as at current rates, which is about 7, 8, 9, 10%. That money, by the time that child retires, is over $1 million. That one time, because of compounding. So if you did that continuously, you haven't changed anything in your lifestyle. You haven't created more wealth, but by just employing that kid and understanding how to structure and do the right things, you just created generational wealth that is tax-free. When you save your money, you save on a 401k, you make $1 million, the tax on that $1 million is going to be at least 37%, plus another state tax of maybe 10%. But that child's money, that money that you created for that child, is tax-free. It's tax-free. Not only that, there are things you can do with that money to multiply them. And the way you structure them, many of the wealthy people, that's what you call generational wealth tax-free. They put that money in a way and structure it in a way that the children are only living on the interest that's generated on that money. And then the principal is there forever until eternity. That's really what you call generational wealth tax-free. That is the most important things for us to do for our families. I thank you brought that question.
We love Chat Night Africa. Keep watching Chat Night Africa.
Mr. Charles Njaya.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question from Mr. O'Neill Gallagher in Maryland.
Yes.
Question sent to me by text.
Okay.
If you buy a personal house and put it for rent, is it advisable to register the house under a LLC? If you have a business and name it Nick, for example, and the property of the business is under your name, is it advisable to register the property with the business name?
Great question. Great question, Mr. Gallagher. I appreciate that's a great question. Let me tell you something. The reason you register a company is because when you have an LLC, as the name implies, it's limited liability company. It's a membership association. When you have a limited liability company, what it gives you limitation of liability. There is something called inside liability and outside liability. Inside liability means that if I have a business, I run CHN Advisors under my social security. It's under my name. If we run this business under the name of the owners of the business, what does that mean? It means that you have no limitation of liability. It means that when I get involved in any business activity with any person, that person, if there was any misdeed that led to litigation, everything I have ever worked for is subject to that claim. Whereas when you make a limited liability company, it gives you some form of protection around that particular asset. It's an insight. If something was to happen within that entity, they can only limit that liability within what is within that entity. So it's important that when you have a business, when you own anything, whether you own a house and you're living there, like what he's asked, you have a home, you're living there, and then part of it has been rented out. You want to talk to a specialist. You want to talk to a strategist to help you structure that entity in the best way. And some of these answers are not just generic answers. Again, I want to say I'm not giving you legal advice here. When you have such an issue, because everybody is like going to a doctor and telling the doctor, I have a headache. Can you give me the medication? The doctor has to go through something called an MRI. You have to go through an MRI for him to understand your circumstance. And then that way he can basically provide you the type of medication that you need. It's the same thing with structure. You have to talk to a strategist to structure you for that proper structuring of your asset. I tell everybody, the only reason you are exposed to litigation, the only reason you're paying a lot in taxes, the only reason you're not building wealth is because of lack of structure. Structure is the key. And you have to go through the steps of understanding what your circumstances are for you to be able to get that structure that fits your needs.
Part two of the question was, is it advisable to register the property with their business name?
Yeah, I would say again, it is always advisable to have a business-related activity under a business name. Always advisable. There are so many benefits for you to separate your business from your personal activities. That's why you register the business and you have an EIN number for that business. Then now the business becomes a separate legal entity on its own. That's the reason, because there are so many things associated with that. Again, like I said, there's going to be, you have to go through, we call it an assessment. If you have any kind of basic business structure, or you have some type of organization that you're not too sure about, you want to talk to a strategist, you can call us at any time. We will have all these people that are there to help you, support you. Let me tell you one of our problems, Divine. In our communities, one of the biggest problems is that it is easy to find someone who's making $10 million a year, and he doesn't have accounting. He doesn't have proper accounting. In our communities, it is easy, very easy to see someone who's making $10 million a year, and he doesn't have a proper accountant. Or he's basing all his activities on some bank statements. Oh, I have a bank. And he's commingling the bank activity. And let me tell you, one of the biggest failures in our businesses, we structure our businesses to fail. We are not used to paying for consulting. We are not used to paying something for the right people to help us structure. This is not Cameroon where you can bribe your way across. Somebody comes to you, just give him money, he goes away. You are just preparing whatever your business is. When you start making a business for 100,000, 50,000, number one is your bookkeeping. Number one is your bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is what is going to sustain your business. Bookkeeping with proper bookkeepers, they understand the system and they are able to structure and make sure you're doing it right. Compliance is what kills businesses in America. I've seen so many businesses that were making millions of dollars Overnight, you just see somebody just come to you, I'm closing down. And why? Because some small thing that happened with one compliance agent just came to them and they don't have any way to get out. Because we run the business without thinking. We don't plan for anything. We only know we make money and then we go and spend it. We make money, we go and spend it. Sometimes we don't even think that that company, that business needs to pay taxes. We never plan for our own taxes. We never plan for anything. Yes.
Before we go, 2 questions. In what circumstance would you write off the lunch that you have, the car that you have, the gas that you pay as business expense?
As long as that expense is being used for a business purpose, it is deductible. As long as it is used for a business purpose. Now, the problem is, how do I structure it to make it become business purpose? And that's where you need assistance. The tax code tells you that anything that is a personal purpose is not deductible. Anything. But as long as you do something for business purposes, it's deductible. Because when you start a business, when you're doing anything that is called a business, is generating income, the first partner in that activity is called the United States government, whether it be the states or be the federal. They are going to tax you on any profit that you make on there. You're going to share it. So in order to make sure that that profit is shared equitably, it is managed correctly, you want to make sure that, because there is something that is called carried interest. The government is always a carried interest. You're always carrying them along. So what you need to do always is to make sure that any part of that activity that is being done at any point in time is monitored. Every time we pay far more in taxes than we should because we are not monitoring anything. We don't monitor. We go on a vacation. I mean, you can make your vacations become all deductible by just structuring and doing something within that time of vacation. The tax code doesn't tell you that you should not go to vacation in Cameroon, or that you should not go and do the same business in Cameroon. The business that you're doing in America, when you are going for vacation, you can structure it in a way that you're still doing business. While you're there, it is a business purpose. Now you have to actually do the work. But we all do those works every day. No entrepreneur that I've ever seen travels to anywhere without talking about his business all the time. They're talking about business. They're doing business. They're talking to people. They're doing this, but they don't have a structure. The IRS is about documentation. The tax code is about documentation. If you cannot document properly, you're going to always be a failure. And documentation is about accountability, keeping the right books and records with the right people who understand how to structure it for you. Structure is everything for wealth building. Everything.
Charles, if somebody wants to contact you, how do they get to you? I know that if they talk to Divine, obviously, I have your number.
Yeah. So
to be honest with you, you're like a walking encyclopedia in these matters. Somebody wants to talk to you, how do they get to you?
Easy. If you go, we are available on Facebook. We are available on Instagram. We are available on TikTok. We are available on all the platforms. And I educate all the time. I attend conferences to talk to people. The problem is, I tell people all the time that if we just do a little bit of if we knew what the dream in this country is all about, if we can structure to take advantage of this country, because of the hard work, if you throw a stone anywhere in America where there are intellectuals, it will fall on an immigrant. If you throw a stone anywhere where there's high income earners, it will fall on an immigrant. They are everywhere. The problem is we think that our American dream is in becoming that surgeon, becoming that guy who works in NASA, who is making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year. Our dream is not there. Our dream, the American dream, is in being able to understand the system, leverage the tax code, and save on the taxes. The way you save on taxes is by building wealth. Wealth is in the taxes you pay. Your wealth is in the taxes you pay. I just told you, if you pay $100,000 in taxes, I tell you all the time that you just threw away $1 million in assets. You just threw away $1 million in assets. So basically, the tax code, the legislature doesn't want you to pay him money. He wants you to build the economy. He wants you to build the economy. America is a conglomerate of individual economies, small private sector economies. The government is run by the private sector, by those of you who are doing things. Side gig, this, you're making money, but you can be on W-2 all your life and still be very wealthy by working with the people who are going to structure that money and make sure you're avoiding taxes. Now, to contact me, you asked about contacting me. Again, you can contact me anytime. We have, if you go to chnadvisors.com, you're talking to me. If you want to talk to Charles and Julia, I can give my office, my phone numbers. If you call 641-451-4467, again, 641-451-4467. It is my cell phone directly. I give that to my community. Wow. I want my community to understand how the system works. If we did that, very easy, all of us will find ourselves in the top 1%. If we did that, very easy, we will find ourselves. Imagine this. Imagine you're paying $1 million paying $100,000 every year in taxes. And we secure that $100,000 and then now put it in assets. Use those assets to wipe off your taxes. And then you're getting out of what you call a rat race. And then you're now in a wealth building race where you are building wealth continuously. That is the tax code. The tax code in America is a wealth building machine. We have to take advantage of it.
Wow. We could be here for 2-3 hours, but at some point, there's a time to come and time to go. Lawrence says this is mind-blowing interview. Now, you guys, immigrants, you see why I was begging people online to come and watch this show. And some friends are telling me how they have a party tonight.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Ignorance is worse than cancer. I have to admit this because knowing what I know now, I wish I knew that many years ago. It'd be a different story.
You tell people the best time to plant a tree is 20, 30 years ago. But the next best time to plant that same tree is now. And let me tell you why. The tax season in 2 months, what you can do today to avoid that $100, $200, $300, $400, $500,000 is just remaining 2 months, November and December. After December, you are doomed to paying the $500,000 to Uncle Sam. You're doomed. You have to plan your tax avoidance before the 1st of January 2022 of the next year. So now you have the opportunity. Contact us. We can help you.
Let me have your number again because I'll be sending it out to friends. Your number again, please.
It's 641-451-4467. That's my personal number. The office number is 832-901-0167. And if you're struggling to get anybody in my firm, go to our website. If you chat on our website during working hours, every time, it doesn't take 2 minutes for someone to be answering you. We have a team that is so active on all our platforms. If you send a question that, please, I want to talk to this person, you'll get it almost immediately.
Charles, this is one thing I admire the most about you. You're exceedingly knowledgeable in this thing. But the passion you have to help our community, a lot of people get this thing and pocket it and so that they be on top and then the rest of the people down there so that they come to them like a deity, like a shrine and say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. But this is you coming to share this knowledge at no charge. Let me tell you, you are an extraordinary human being. I got to tell you that. Thank you so much, Charles.
Thank you.
Now, I just give me something in bullet point form, what people should remember before we close the program? You have 2 minutes.
Number one thing is that wealth building is intentional. Wealth building is intentional. You have to have a plan. You have to have what you have to plan it. It doesn't just happen. And especially when we came here with a dream. America is called the land of dream for a reason. It is called the land of dream for those who understand how the system works. When you get into America, when you get into this country, the first thing is to try to understand how the system works. And unfortunately, I'll tell you, this is very unfortunately, in the market of this activity, in the market of strategies, there's just about 1% of CPAs. And in our community, we don't have people who are strategists who are doing that. There's a lot of people who tell you I'm doing strategy, but they can't do nothing. You need a structure that is well oiled to be able to do all of these things. And we have it. Our intention is to basically be the number one tax and estate strategy firm to help immigrants get into the top 1%. And that's our goal. Our goal is to talk to America, is to speak to all of us who are working very hard and turn us into smart workers so that we can retire early. We can have a bundle of assets. We can build assets. And to build assets, it has to be intentional. I mean, if I want to tell you, I would throw one strategy here, just a free strategy for anyone. If you own a business here, many people don't even understand that you can own your own business and basically do something that they call an Augusta rule. Augusta rule simply means you're basically renting your home to your business and you're taking thousands and thousands of dollars. That's tax-free. It is going to be deductible to your business and it's going to be tax-free to you. The second thing, we talk about employing kids. There are lots of these things that are already embedded in the things you do, but you just don't know how to structure them to take advantage of them. So please be ready, get intentional, change your mindsets, and let's win together. We came here to win, and we must win. We must win, and it takes understanding the system.
We love Chat Night Africa. Keep watching Chat Night Africa.
And today we had Charles Njoya.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I see in comments, lots of people are asking for your number. Let me read the number out. And when the program is over, you can contact me if you want to, if you miss it. 641-451-4467. Let me repeat that. That's his direct cell phone number. A lot of people don't give their cell phone numbers out. Charles is doing it. What an amazing human being he is. 641-451-4467. And then the office number is 832-901-0167. That's the office. Let me repeat that. 832-901-0167.
Yeah,
Dr. Dita, thank you so much.
I see a lot of friends on there. Dr. Dita,
yeah.
Dr. Ivor, thank you for being there. Thank you, Mr. Dikuba. Thank you, Mrs. Dikuba. I thank you for all of you who came here to listen. We are here to help ourselves win. And we have to win. We have to win.
And that's the note on which he wraps up his statements on Chat Night Africa today. You can watch this show. It's on www.chatnightafrica.net. You have to go there and just see the stunning broadcast website that we built for you. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. You see all kinds of stuff there. Dr. Dita, there's a corner there called Half Corner. Dr. Dita has a lot of information there for you with other medical doctors. You can write to Dr. Dita through that website. He'll respond to you, give you medical education. It's very, very important. Cooking, you want to know how to cook some dole? You go there, you see it. Artwork from Kenya, Rwanda, Ivory Coast, Cameroon. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Roger Full, for building that website. That's my lieutenant, my right-hand man on Chat Night Africa. Without him, I'm not sure I'll be doing this. Dr. Elo, thank you. Dr. Elo built this platform Mumbalingwa is my broadcast transmission director. I thank all of you. I'm so grateful to you. And I'm above all else grateful to people who have cared enough to contribute. We use very expensive microphones, software, cameras. People just say, Divine, they call me up and say, what can I do for you? And here's my operational mantra. If you send us funds, once we acquire that thing, we send you a picture or a video of what we acquired. That's called integrity. Thank you, everyone. I will be coming back for yet another ebullient show next Thursday, same time, and you will love what you get. This is Exhibit A. Once you come to Chat Night Africa, this is the kind of content we serve you. We help you build your muscle, huh? So you go out and be productive. Talk about Chat Night Africa to your friends and relatives. Be a worthy ambassador of this platform because it's about you and you only. Thank you for watching. Merci à tout le monde. And when you see this, well, we're just saying all good things have an end.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. I'm coming. I'm coming. Coming to dance. To dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna party. Party hardy. We're gonna boogie. Boogie woogie. And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm coming back.